Welcome to episode 272 of the Centering Esports Podcast presented by Alt. This is going to be the best episode ever. We have Blast Restructures, the way their prize pool works, and go figure, did not consult the Counter-Strike Players Association. We have all the details that we need to know about the PS5 and the new Xbox coming out, so we'll dive a little bit into the console wars. Did one win? Did one lose? We'll discuss. And a little bit of Twitch drama to get to. And a little AMA at the end of the show for you. So we have that. Oh, and of course, e-news. But before we get to any of that, let me tell you about the show's sponsor in Alt Esports. They are by far a mile ahead of any competition when it comes to esports apparel. They are the comfiest, most high-quality brand that I've ever worn when it comes to just like your regular, everyday, you need to look good type of style. I don't even want to say street style because I feel like I could show up to a black tie event and they'd be like, "Sir, what are you doing? You can't come in here. You're not wearing a black tie attire." I'd be like, "Look at the tag, bro." And they see that it was Alt Esports and they'd be like, "My God, come on in." So that's what Alt Esports can do. It can get you into places you shouldn't. They just released the Overwatch League 90s collection, which is straight fire. Spoiler, hashtag no spoilers, because they did tweet it out. But they are coming out with championship attire for the Dallas Empire for winning the Call of Duty League. So we'll probably get our hands on that as well. So check it out. altesports.com, and you tell them the Center Ring Boys sent you.
Hey, it's Simple from Navi, and you're listening TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome. Welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. This is episode, what episode is it? 272. I knew that. Coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date is September 17th, 2020, and the time is 8:43 p.m. Central Time. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. If you do, you would know exclusive breaking news, like what we tweeted out just a little bit ago today, that per sources, Cooper might be the next Cloud9 signing. So we have that exclusive tidbit for you. So go follow us on The Center Ring and you'll know more there. Also, you could join the Discord from our description. So be a part of that conversation. Had a nice little Worlds conversation in Discord. We don't talk about League of Legends a whole lot on the show, but surprisingly our listeners do. So hit up the Discord and you can talk some Worlds with them. I know they always try to get me involved. They're really trying. I might watch a YouTube video and learn some League of Legends prior. Might not. We'll see.
What do you not know about League of Legends? Just the characters, or like, you understand the premise?
I understand the premise. Like, I can watch it and know the goal. I don't know. The teams, I guess. You know, like, okay. You tell me which teams are good. TSM, Cloud9, T1, but they're not even in it. So apparently they're not good. So, you know, I'm sure that's what it is. I just give me the storylines and sure, give me the underdog. That's all I want. But they're trying. They're trying. We're getting excited. We're getting excited for Worlds in the Discord. So go check that out. And yeah, that's all at the Center Ring on Twitter. My name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports. And alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend, my friend with like a blurry resolution because he's using a poor man's webcam. It's Anuj. What's up?
That does piss me off just a little bit, okay? Sitting here and seeing you with this new crisp image. The only thing I can say is I'm glad you don't have good lighting because I would be more annoyed right now. If you
Yeah,
had like prime time lighting at the moment and everything was just popping on your screen, which it will soon, but it's not
I'm
today,
okay right now
obviously.
because you can't see the giant mess that is
Yeah,
just. I have like an
but
arts and crafts table behind me. It's a mess
it's even more salty that I went from getting like a free cam link, I say free through business money, to now I have to like go buy a camera.
because your
Like
camera
that
doesn't work.
because my camera is like too shitty to do what it needs to do. So a little bittersweet today, but you look
Yes.
beautiful.
Thank you.
I've never
Thank you.
seen like your pores look great. You know, skin's not overly oily. Like it's just you look very good on that side.
I do feel like I need to put on like some foundation or something just to not get as much shimmer. I've never had to deal with this before. This is why we're one day late on this episode because we bought what are they called? Cam links, the Elgato cam links to make the show look prettier. And so that's what we were setting up. And of course, we plugged it in yesterday. A Nujus camera doesn't work with it, which who would have thought that? I mean, you don't have a bad camera. It just doesn't work with it. And then for
It
whatever
like shows
reason,
the display information, so I
right.
can't even try to use it.
And then for whatever reason, mine looked like shit. And for those who know me, very short temper. I was ready to drive down to the Elgato's HQ to return this like last night. So luckily though, I looked stuff up. I looked up some settings and I think I look good.
Look great.
I think it looks great. Like you said, apart from the lighting, which, you know, hey,
That's just one step at a time.
minor details, minor details. Congratulations to any of our listeners who either pre-ordered the PlayStation 5 and or got the 3080, the NVIDIA's 3080 graphics card today. Congratulations to you. Do you know anyone that got in a pre-order of either or?
I mean, all my friends are PC, so no one was worried about pre-ordering the PS5. People, I'm sure, will get it down the line, but no one was in a rush to buy it like today. I would have been if you asked me like 15 years ago. You know, I'd have been all over that, at least trying to. And then the 3080, like also a lot of us have got new PCs, so no one's really in a, other than you, like really honestly,
Right.
is like immediately trying to upgrade something. I think I'm just gonna hold out for like another generation at this point.
I had a couple friends on Twitter tweet their grievances that they were failed attempts. Now, first of all, yes, I am going to get a 3080 eventually. Now, I'm the guy, though, that like I'll do my grocery shopping at 9, 10 o'clock at night just so I can avoid the crowds and lines. So I am definitely not going to wake up and get stressed about trying to like beat bots and scammers to pre-order a 3080.
I think trying to get a 3080 day one is a dumb idea anyway, though.
I'll let
They're only gonna get better.
I'll let the
The
first wave
3080s
go out.
will only get better.
I'll get
You'll
the
have,
third party.
yeah, you'll get a third party manufacturer that will do a little bit more research after these first lineups come out. I know third party ones are out too, but they'll only improve on it, right? People
Yeah.
will now find flaws when it goes out to the masses. So honestly, you're in a really good spot. 3080 is going to be a amazing upgrade. Like
Yep.
it is. It's such a good upgrade that I'm one generation back and want to upgrade. Right, I'm running a 2080 right now, which is a damn good card. Like it is
Yeah.
such a high end card, and I still have the desire to get a 3080, but unfortunately, like I said, card is just too new. I'm gonna wait one
I have
more generation.
a 980, and I have a list of things I want to get. But really, I want to upgrade to a 2K monitor, 27-inch, 1440. I want to get that. But there's no point in getting that until I get a new graphics card. So those are the baby steps, and then I'll worry about like because the thing is like I want to get a new processor, but I've hit that stage where my PC is so old. It's not. Oh no, you can't just get a new processor.
No, it's got to be memory, and
I gotta get a new motherboard. Oh, you have a new motherboard? Well, it doesn't support your old RAM. Now you have to get new RAM, and then it's like, okay, so I can pretty much keep my power supply. So,
and even that might not be able to handle the new power of the ones putting out.
now
right
that
now.
I can, because So when I built my PC, the one thing I will never understand when building PCs is the power supply usage. So I just go big. I just
it's
like
safe.
just give me the 1,000 watt and we're good. Like I know some people will be like, no, you can't have too much power. That's bad. Been having mine for 6 years and it's working fine. Like
Yep.
I'm okay. It's working
Better to
fine.
be over than under. That's probably the more
Yes.
wise thing there.
Yep. So I have the power on lockdown. It's a very nice power supply. But I know once I get the motherboard, it's like that's slippery slope. That's you will like your little upgrade just turned into like a $2,000 upgrade.
Yeah.
So, but I'm excited. I'm keeping. They say probably in like what 2 months typically is when the third parties come out. So I will
probably get it around Christmas time, which will be a nice little gift for yourself.
Oh yeah. Well, and now as a husband and father, holidays are the kind of only time we have an excuse to get that stuff. The wife doesn't understand the random $700 graphics card purchase.
Well, like we can get by with the little purchases here and there, right? But then all of a sudden, when like the $1,000 charge comes up on there, you're gonna get caught.
Yeah.
There's no way to get around that.
My wife also loves to say, "Well, why don't you just use the business account? Why don't you use the show money?" I'm like, yeah, I would love to. Like, don't get me wrong. Anuj and I would love to just buy ourselves new PCs with show money, but that's not how that works. Maybe when we're making like Shroud money, we can justify it.
Yeah, we're not
we
there
need
yet.
that money for other things when Corona lifts and we want to travel and things like that. But for now, we'll I can save up. I'll break the pig.
One day we'll be able to do that.
Yes.
Just like one day Henry G will also send us Cloud9 gear as well. One day.
272 episodes. What can you expect? We're only the longest running esports podcast under the sun. But
I only wanted to get you a tank, Tim. That was my motivation.
Give me one of their fanny packs. They just dropped their fall line.
The Puma gear or whatever.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting me a Cloud9 fanny pack.
And a bucket hat. Rock both of them now that you have the new camera. It'll like pop on
just
here.
Get really good there. No, I only rock alt gear, sir, on camera. Ginger Slayer, a.k.a. Joey, in chat says, got to get a sub button first before we can buy our own computers. That's a very good point. I would like to state the record, since people judge people in this world with sub buttons. We have a sub button. It just doesn't work. We cannot get it to show because we can't get fully registered because only
tax ID issue, some bullshit.
I'm not even lying. I don't want to get political. If Trump came up to me and said, if you vote for me, I could get you your sub button working, I might do it at this point. I might vote him in a second time. If he says, we could get you your sub button, I'll be like, you know what? You drive a hard bargain, but okay.
It's good enough for me.
Okay, sure. Might have to deal with another year of Corona because no one takes it serious over there, but okay, that's fine. We'll get a sub button. Baby steps. It's only been like 2 years since we've tried working with it, but by the time we get a sub button, Twitch will have done something to screw up and close down, and Mixer will come back, and we'll just all have to move back to Facebook gaming or some shit. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into some of the show here. What would you like to start off with first?
Let's go with, let's just go in order.
All right.
Of how we have it written down, make life easy on us.
All right. Let's get into then the more of the hot topic esportsy topic. And that is the fact that Blast has restructured their prize pool. Now, of course, Blast, we're not talking about Valorant because now they're not just CS, right? We're talking about the Blast League in Counter-Strike. Announced over the week that they are restructuring the way they divvy up their prize money, ultimately making it less, but at the end of the day, they're paying out the same amount of money. And the reason they're doing this is pretty much stating because Corona, like everyone, right? It's, hey, we obviously are not making the amount of money that we projected for this year, which I don't know who is, and maybe Steam, right? Steam's probably doing quite fine in Corona.
Shroud's probably doing okay too.
Shroud's doing okay, yes.
Streamers are probably making more with Corona.
Yeah, which is kind of messed up when you think about it, but people are like, I lost my job and I just got my first paycheck. I just want to say, Shroud, thank you. And Shroud's like, hey, thanks, man. Everyone in the chat, give him what's up. And I'm just like, what? Shroud, return that. Return that money.
Bro, they don't even read subs out anymore.
You have
They
this
don't
guy.
even like they get 400 subs in a day, and
This guy is legit using his government assistance check to give Shroud money, and they're like, thanks, bro. And then they'll forget the name in 2 seconds. But I digress. What were you doing? Oh, Blast. So, yes, Blast is saying Corona has kind of hit our bank account a little bit. We got to restructure this if we want to really make it beneficial for the long haul. So what they're doing is moving forward, they will be increasing the participation fees paid to teams and reducing the prize money. Again, and I feel like this was kind of lost in the tweet because their initial tweet didn't really explain it very well. The total sum paid by Blast will remain identical. Okay, so I think that's important at the end of the day to realize that. However, the kicker here is the players aren't necessarily seeing that payout for participation. They see a lot of times in their contracts the prize money. So you're taking away prize money to give it to direct payout to the org, which you're like, okay, well, what's the big deal? It's all going to the same place. Not necessarily, because depending on your contract, depending on the org, again, they only give you your pay, right? They give you what you agreed for on a payment and the prize money. So the double whammy here is that they failed to consult the Counter-Strike Professional Players Association, the CSPPA, on this manner.
Question for you. Why did they have to do that?
That's a very good question, Anuj. I'm glad you brought it up because every time this comes up in the world of Counter-Strike with like the CSPPA always brings up, we were not consulted about this. We will be speaking with them behind closed doors, blah, blah, blah. No one here heard about this. At what point do you think they call an emergency meeting and say, guys, do people even know we're around? Like, do they, like, and I've said this before, I feel like they have lost their own way, whereas before it came out, it was, hey, we want to look out what's best for the players, while also working with tournament organizers and orgs to figure out what's best for, like, the system right now. Well, then it's kind of turned into, well, no, we feel like it should just be this way, and we're going to create our own rankings because we don't like the way they do it, and things like that. I guess in a perfect player union world, yes, you would consult the players if you're going to change the payout. However, if they didn't need you to start it, why would they consult you to change it?
I'm probably going to take like an approach on this that if any players listening, I apologize ahead of time. But like in a way, what Henry G did by releasing the salary information, I say Henry G, Cloud9. It was a Cloud9 decision, right? Team decision to release salary information. Like you're not going to get a ton of sympathy from me, at least, when it comes to a little bit more money going into the owner's pockets. Because what I see, like, again, this is like 100% my point of view. I don't even know if you agree with this. What I see in Counter-Strike right now is a game that's getting to this odd breaking point. Doesn't mean the game is going to go away or die or nothing like that. I'm just saying it's at a point where there's just this top end. We're just really top heavy. And then the fall off to me is fairly massive when it comes to the landscape or the overall ecosystem of Counter-Strike. We're not seeing a ton of new teams invest into Counter-Strike. We've talked to team owners that have said it's a bad investment other than getting your name out there. Like if you're willing to put in the money to be one of the top 5, great. It's good recognition. But kind of beyond that, we see several team owners taking cheaper paths just to stay, around in Counter-Strike, but not necessarily to compete at the highest level because they know To do that, it's millions of dollars. And now we see a contract for the first time, right? And now I know that includes Alex's buyout, but let's just say he's making around 400K annually off of this contract, plus a buyout fee, and then he's getting prize money from the 600 events that go on throughout the year, right? It's not like Blast has one event. There are multiple events, and including one pretty much every weekend at this point, right? Whether it's Blast or Star Ladder or ESL or Face It, like there's an event every single weekend at this point. Like players are making really good money. Now, I know there's a saying like, well, it's never enough, right? Like you should be able to get whatever you're able to. Well, this was an opportunity for the owners in Blast to work together and make it a little bit more beneficial for the org. I don't see a huge problem in that. If they didn't consult with them, it's because they chose not to, like they didn't want to do it. Like, hey, we know you guys are making a shit ton of money. We need ours also. Blast is still paying out the same amount, but I do feel for ownership groups right now in Counter-Strike, because it is so outrageously expensive, and it's taken away from CS a little bit in my mind because of how inflated the costs have gone. We've seen teams completely just wipe themselves out of Counter-Strike altogether. We saw Cloud9, one of the biggest orgs, take a 2-year hiatus essentially from the game because they didn't want to compete at a high level. That's what it came down to, right? They have the money. They're one of the most valuable orgs, but they chose not to spend and put all their resources into Counter-Strike. Instead, they'll have 2 Valorant teams.
Cloud9 did just enough to stay relevant.
That's it. They did the approach to the game that we've seen several teams do of, let's keep our name in the game so we're floating around, right? If it's top 30, we're still on HLTV. We're still going to be in a handful of events because we're Cloud9. But at the end of the day, they didn't see it worthwhile to invest into Counter-Strike. Again, they're coming back now, but that's after they have 2 Valorant teams and they're probably seeing good success in other areas.
Yeah. Let me tell you what I have a problem with, because ultimately I think I lean closer to you. My problem is not that they didn't consult with the Players Association, because consulting means a conversation, right? My problem is if there was no heads up given, because it's not like this is in the off season of Blast. They're in the middle of the event, right? They are still in like the tournament mode for like the main Blast that will eventually lead to like their big major, right? For Blast. That's where I have the issue, because if you're changing the prize pool mid-tournament and not giving them a heads up, I understand the reason. Obviously we don't know all the numbers, but all we constantly hear about is how, the tournament organizers make barely any money and the owners in Counter-Strike especially pretty much lose money, right? Having a Counter-Strike team. And yet all we see from these players are Gucci watches, Yeezys, whatever, right? Like they're doing pretty okay. Not every player, I understand that, but for the most part, they're doing pretty okay with their salaries.
We have heard from Counter-Strike pros saying that they won't go to events unless they're staying at 5-star hotels for the most part. Like the best of the best hotels.
We've heard from tournament organizers where I won't name anything here, but there's a place, we'll say locally, where I'm not even kidding you. Next door, there is a walkway, a covered walkway that leads from the hotel to the place where they were having the event. And the players didn't want to stay at the hotel because it wasn't nice enough. And this hotel is a Sheraton. It wasn't like a La Quinta. No knock on La Quinta. It's a Sheraton.
It wasn't a Motel 6. Like it was a 3.5, 4-star hotel, probably.
Not the Four Seasons or anything, but still pretty good. And they wouldn't do it. So then the tournament organizers had to switch the hotel, right? The players went there and said, nope, this isn't up to our standards. Then switch the hotels and everything here. Like, don't get it twisted. And it's not just Counter-Strike. I would say most esports athletes, for being guys that like have very minimum requirements to get by in life, like I've seen your room behind your webcam, right? We know how some of these guys live. They have very high standards when it comes to like pampering them. So no, I think for Blast to take a conscious stand and be like, we can't survive doing this. Let me ask the players this. Would you rather have more prize money, or would you rather have more prize money and Blast fold after this because they can't afford to recoup? Or would you rather have a reputable event, in Blast, pay out a little less, give your org more money to hopefully that will come back to you in some way, and then being able to continue? Because right now that's the only option you have.
Chances are that money is not going back to them in some way, though, right? Like, chances are the orgs will pocket that money or use it for their expenses.
Oh,
at
just
the end
even
of the
if
day
it's
in other
filling
areas.
up the fridge, something.
Yeah. We upgrade the stream room for you guys in our facility or some nonsense
Maybe
like
pull
that.
a microfell and get you that private jet.
What I'm saying is I just don't feel like bad for them in this scenario. It's one event that's doing it. Granted, it's a big one, but they have, again, it's an oversaturated market with Counter-Strike. They're making really good money. I know if we were talking about bottom tier teams competing in this event, like, yes, maybe that would make me feel a little bit different, but you're talking about, I have it right here. You're talking about Vitality, Complexity, G2, Navi, NIP, Astralis, FaZe, OG, Liquid, EG, 100 Thieves. Like, these orgs are paying top dollar for these players. None of these guys are on the cheap, right? Like, none of these are really small little teams that are suffering in this sense from a player standpoint. Like, these guys are getting really well paid. And so if it happens here and there, like, I just don't think I feel that bad. Like, if it was like we're taking away your prize pool and giving it to your org and your org can see fit how to split it up or distribute it, okay, different issue. But they're lowering it a little bit. We know teams are playing at a loss. Like, I can live with that decision. I understand why they made the decision. As far as not consulting the players, my only negative to doing that is, like, it wouldn't have done them any good to do it ahead of time, because then they would have fought back and, like, voiced it. Chances are players being players would have voiced this publicly, or it would have came out in a leak somewhere, and Blast would have looked really bad. And, just like the Neon deal, I promise you they're not going to make any more announcements on partnerships that are questionable, right? Like, somebody's going to have to dig and figure out, which partnerships are morally acceptable and all that. They're not going to do that again. This would have not hurt them in that same way, obviously, but there would have been more negative public backlash towards them. And I think they wanted to avoid that. So I understand the decision and the route that they went and why they went this way. Look, I want the players to make money. I'm not advocating for them to not make money. It's just there is a fine line here. I'm rooting more for Counter-Strike to succeed than I am for individual players to succeed. Like, that's just the way it is. Counter-Strike's going to go on. Players are making fat bank right now. Like, good for them as long as it's a win-win. I just don't see it being that way at the moment. We've heard from too many ownership groups that they're operating at a loss in Counter-Strike and have to make their money elsewhere. Like, too many. And that's not a good thing.
And it still begs the question of, what does the CS PPA do? I don't want to get into it, but it just cracks
I
me
love
up.
what they're trying to do. Like, the thought of having a players union and one that actually has some power behind it is a wonderful thing. Like, I hope it gets to that point, and they're the only people that are trying. So, like, bravo to them for doing it. It's just not it's just not at a point where it has any sort of power.
Like I said,
that's
I think
the problem.
The best thing to ever happen to the players is that if Cloud9 really do, like, if more people adopt this, making your salary and your buyouts and everything more public. I understand that it might be uncomfortable at the start, but literally every other sports, they do it. And they do it for a reason, right? Agents purposely will leak what a team is offering so that way other teams can try to beat it or counter it. Like, it's all part of the game. It's all part of the system. It's not to gloat on how much you make or make people uncomfortable. It's all to know your worth, and then the next guy know his.
Do you know if in pro sports, let's just take football or baseball or whatever for an example, are they required
No,
to release that information?
no,
No.
no, they're
So
not.
in any pro sport, when a contract is signed, when we usually 95% of the time, no, I mean, I would say 100% of the time, we know what the player's making, right?
Yeah,
I can go down and tell you what every single Cowboys player is making if I just Google it real quick. That's not information that's required to come out?
no,
I
nope.
know there's some it's not Counter-Strike. I know there's some owners out there that will never release player information unless they're forced to do so.
Yeah,
Hex even said it on his podcast recently that they were talking about the Cloud9 situation. He's like, we will never release player information. You know why? It's because he's probably paying Scump like 10 times more than the average COD
yeah.
player is making, and like there's a reason they don't want to do that. But I like it for the fact that transparency is going to be good for everyone. You're going to know if you're being underpaid. We're going to know if you're being overpaid. And you know what? Like, we also then know what to expect performance wise from you. Like, it puts an added pressure on the players to not be late to scrims and like take this shit seriously, like a real job, however many hours you want to put into it a week, but like a real job, right? And you have those expectations set on you. So I would love for that information to come out. I just don't know how many players or big orgs really want to release that info unless their hand is forced.
Like I said, we'll see. I'm sure it's the first time it's ever happened that way, right? With this last signing for Cloud9 in esports that I can even remember. So it's a little step forward, I think. But so there you have it.
Cooper's number is going to be 1.3 million or something.
To what now?
You think Cooper's number is going to be as high as Alex's?
No.
If he gets signed?
No, not at all. But also, I think because that number handled like buyout, like it was like
it had like a 400 or 500K buyout
his
in there.
Contract value, right?
Yeah.
So it was specifically worded that way. It's like, no, that's not his
He
salary.
did clarify though, it's his salary plus his buyout.
Right, it's his value. So it's everything. But still, I mean, I would still like to know how much of the buyout is, just because we've seen some buyouts be so ridiculous.
People have reported that it's between like 200 to 400.
Okay.
So either way, he's making, like I said, 300 to 400K annually.
Yeah.
Like easy.
Yeah. So there you go.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah. Not bad. Not bad at all. So looking here, we mentioned at the start of the show about the PlayStation 5 and 3080s and everything here. So today, pre-orders did launch for the PS5. So we have all the information for that. We have all the information for Xbox. Let's dive a little bit, not necessarily esports, right? This is a little bit out of our normal realm, but
it's just big. It's just big. It's
we are gamers. We're
Yeah.
gamers after all. Let's talk a little
console
console
releases
wars.
growing up, Tim, were the most exciting thing in the world for me.
Oh my god!
Like, I mean, I loved console releases. You were waiting in lines, or you were doing whatever you could do to have money to get a new console.
Did you ever camp out for him?
I didn't camp out, but I was lucky enough for like during a lot of my console releases. Like I worked at Circuit City for the PS3, I believe it was, and so I was able to snag one release day. And I was like fortunate enough to be able to get them all, but I never get them all very early.
Yeah.
But I never camped out for them. I think I got like my Sega Dreamcast opening day. What do you know? Sega Dreamcast was available opening day at like Toys R Us back in the day with my parents. Like I was able to get all my consoles pretty early on.
So I ended up, so I mean for midnight releases, but midnight releases don't even count, right? That's not difficult to go at midnight. I got my PS4 day one. Like I was like an early pre-order and everything there. For the Xbox 360 and the Wii, we camped out. For the Xbox 360, I even think like the GameCube, we camped out. No. Yeah, that's what it was. We camped out for the GameCube and the Xbox 360. For the Xbox 360, we camped out front of Best Buy for 2 days.
What? Were y'all number one in line?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we were number one in line. I still have framed in a box somewhere my number one Xbox ticket. Like, it says like number one on there, signed by the manager of the store and everything. I have it framed somewhere. But yeah, we camped out.
2 days is hardcore.
For 2 days.
That is hard.
in 2
I used to
days.
like finagle my way into getting them very
Yeah.
early. I never had an
Yeah,
issue
I mean,
getting
for
them.
us, it was part of the fun. You know, like we
Yeah,
never did it. We were, what, 15, 16? Like,
yeah, yeah.
what else were we doing with our time? So we were like, all right, let's go do it. So we got it and got a sleeping bag, some blankets, some snacks, and camped out for 2
Did you have
days.
a tent?
We didn't do a tent. No. We just did sleeping bags and stuff. But it was cool because it's like then people started coming and you just hung out with them the whole time. So
How early on did the next person come in line?
he was at least there that night. So
Okay. So around 2 days for him also.
yeah. Probably he was there more so 2 nights. We were there more so 2 days.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
you know, that's like when pre-ordering was a completely different ball game, right? It wasn't like what it is now. That was kind of more of like the hype train of people camping out and everything there. Nowadays, I don't.
It's when retail mattered.
Do people even? Yeah, I was gonna say, do people even camp out nowadays? I wouldn't,
Black Friday probably for like the crab
because
deals
again,
that
I
come
think
out.
back then, like I said, the only way you got it, you couldn't just go and pre-order the Xbox. You had to get in that line. So
Yeah.
that's why you had to camp out for it. Nowadays, it's you pre-order online and you'll show up at 8 a.m. and pick it up and leave. Like there's that
The
excitement.
cities we live around will probably call the cops on you for loitering if you go stand outside now.
We did have the cops show up, but I think that was more so just like, hey, you nerds good? We were like, yep. So I think they were more so just making sure we weren't homeless, but no officer. We're just here to play video games. So that was a lot of fun, though. A lot of fun. I remember we camped out. Well, we didn't camp out, but we were there a while for Halo and things like that. But those were the days.
A lot of midnight releases for sure. Like
Yeah.
probably 50, like feels like 50 or so of all
Yeah.
the Maddens and that type of stuff.
Yeah. But again, that even is kind of lost in today's world with the digital
Mhm.
purchases and things like that. And
Hell, they're selling a digital version of all these systems where you
yeah.
have to be able to get it online.
No,
you know?
a little different, a little different. So we do have the. We don't have to go in like the hardware details or anything. People can look that up. Firsthand, though, do you think either one of these PS5, Xbox, definitively won,
The hardware side.
or just in general? Like if you had to say,
Yeah,
which
I mean,
one
I
won?
think for sure PlayStation won, like without a doubt, because there's only one thing that matters when it comes to consoles anymore, and that's exclusive releases. Like that's it. That's all that consoles are good for, or for like a younger kid, right? If you don't want to invest in a PC, but anything coming out on Xbox, you're going to have available to you on PC. So if you're asking me, like, why buy an Xbox, I really couldn't tell you the reason, unless you're just that hardcore of a console fan. But there's very few, if any, that I saw that are like exclusive console release. Like it's going to be console and PC. And so I think for that reason alone, like PS5 is your winner. I do know the Xbox has a little better hardware, like slightly better, but it's not going to be enough of a difference for most people to notice. I mean, you're still getting 8K capabilities, 120 hertz on both of them. Like that, the main stuff that matters, right? It's like if somebody got a 2080 and a 2080 Super, like not a huge difference. You can
Right.
see a couple of frames difference here and there. But yeah, I think exclusives to me are everything. I mean, from Spider-Man to, I wrote some of these down on here, Ratchet and Clank, Horizon, which was so popular, it did so well for, I think it, was one of the games of the year, or at least a nomination. And then Final Fantasy 16, which I know may come to PC at some point
Is that
down the
Horizon
line.
Zero Dawn? Is that the sequel to that?
Yes, a sequel to
See.
that.
Even that's
So
on
it's like-
PC though.
I'm sorry?
Even that's moved over to PC. So eventually,
Yeah,
that's
but like
probably
eventually, but you're talking about like a year or two later it came out. So if you're willing to wait, but like that's still long enough in the exclude. Like even Final Fantasy 16, I know it might come to PC, will still be on PS5 for like a year plus. So anybody that's dying to play those games in particular, like you don't want to wait a year where you've seen 100 YouTube videos and spoilers across the board before you jump in and play these single player story games. And so, yeah, I mean, my initial thoughts are just like PS5 wins again purely because they have the games to go along with it, and Xbox only signed half of their signed those developers essentially, are the ones that they bought out. They only bought them out a year or two ago at their last E3 announcement, I think, is when we
Yeah.
heard all these developers being bought out. It's not enough time to come out with exclusives. So I'm sure over time they will get more. But as of right now, what we know today, like to me, PS5 is kind of the clear cut winner there.
If I had to pick a system, which I'm not getting either one. But if I had to pick one, I think I'm with you. If you're going with a console, you gotta. For me, the edge will always and forever be exclusives. So PS5. However, there is one thing Sony has always done, and I just honestly, at this point in the game, at this point with technology, I find it a bit unacceptable. How do you not have backwards compatibility?
It's backwards compatible to PS4, but not 3, 2, and 1.
I haven't read PS4.
Okay, so maybe if depending on which way we're going to look at this, I'm going to have a different stance, right? If it's 3, 2, and 1, I don't give a shit. Like you're playing really old games, go get an emulator and throw it on your computer or something if you want to do that. How many people are going back and playing old games? Honestly, do you know a lot of people that do that?
I think a lot of people. I know a lot of people that have their collections throughout the years, and like that's like my buddy. I mean, that's his niche. Like he likes to play. He goes back and plays old games. Like he just wants to play the original. That's some of their things. Not ours. I could tell you that. Not my thing, but
it does say it'll be backwards compatible with PS4, just not 3, 2, and 1.
Okay.
It's 99% compatible with PS4 games. So there may be the random game here and there that will not work with it. But again, I mean, I'm sorry for the outlier people that, are dying to play some of their PS3 games again and kind of relive those glory days. But that's to me, a small percentage of the audience. So
I just think
it's not enough, I should say, for me to be like,
but again, I'm saying when you're in a meeting and you're a multi-billion-dollar company such as Sony, what extra effort does it take to make it backwards compatible?
Honestly, that's a good question. I don't know. If there's a cost factor, though, I understand it, right? Like if you're talking about just like redoing a part of the chipset, maybe it doesn't cost you more to do so, then that's an annoyance.
Yeah, because Xbox is
but
backwards since the original Xbox. You can get any Xbox game, the new Xbox will play it. Again, not enough to make me go and be like, whoa, unbelievable. But it's
there's
just,
only
one of those things I think you should have.
That would get me to buy an Xbox over a PS5. And that would be their digital edition for a couple of reasons. The price point, $299, like that's super cheap. Like $300 for a system feels really cheap. Sony's price point is $399 for the digital. They're both $499 for the high-end top version. So the one that we would probably be more interested in getting is the same price. But if you're looking to save a little bit of money with the digital edition, I think that price point's really appealing. Plus that opportunity to do like that Xbox Premium for $25 a month that also gets you the console for like 2 years or 3 years, whatever the contract is. To me, that's a pretty good deal if you're a hardcore like exclusive console player, because then you really only have to get, I think we valued it out at like 5 games basically. Breaks you even, and with the pass like that, you'll probably play 50 different games if they're all available.
I will say there is one note here with and this is where I think some people's argument would be like, well, I don't care about exclusives. Is they're all single player. So if you're not a single player guy, if you're like, yeah, I'm never going to sit down and play solo games, like I'm a multiplayer guy, well then, okay, then I agree. The exclusives don't mean as much to you.
But I feel like the people that are buying console, a lot of them are single player players. I mean, there's the Call of Duties and things like that, that are. I just feel like those systems are tailored nowadays towards single player. Anything that's
I think you are very detached from the console gamer. A lot of my friends are still console gamers, and I can promise you, they're still very heavily in like the multiplayer world.
What are they playing that's not on PC?
Well, of course, again, my argument's not, well, you can get that on PC, because you ask me, save up a couple more months and get yourself a PC. But
Yeah.
that's
Your friends need
that's
to
the
put
ultimate
in a
goal.
little bit of effort into getting a PC then, Tim.
The
That's what I
ultimate
would
goal
tell
is
your
to
friends.
figuring out how to get a PC. I have
Yeah.
some friends who they're like, well, I I don't mind doing an FPS on a PC. I just don't. They think like the WASD is really clunky to move with.
Use a controller. No
I'm
one's
like,
stopping. It's actually easier in some cases to use your damn controller on PC, you know?
like
So
I've
like
never once
I
thought
just
that.
that excuse is just a lack of like they don't want to spend the money
Right.
on a PC, right? Like you can use a controller on any PC game except for like Counter-Strike and crap like that, but those were built for PC, right? Any crossover game gives you the ability to use your controller. So I still think it's like exclusive driven. And the reason I would say that is based on the sales from last time around. The PS4 had a ton of more exclusives that were more appealing. And guess what? They outsold the shit out of Xbox. For the PS4 and the Xbox One. So I think the same thing will happen because more people get
Yeah.
consoles to play single player games.
But I
Like,
also think it's just the two. Like, here's the thing, and this is the issue with the console wars. I feel like the only people who care about it are like the consumer, because I feel like both of them, Sony and Xbox or Microsoft, are focusing on such two completely different approaches to their consoles, right? Like, it's almost like Xbox knows we're not going to worry about the exclusives. We're going to worry about the accessibility. And Sony's like, hey, we have the exclusives. And there's that. So they're completely, I guess, for two different type of people. Figure it out yourself. Probably there was a time in my life, Anuj, where I got every console. Like I had
literally anyone that came out, you buy.
Yeah. Like it was just, I mean, growing up in a house of 4 kids, kind of always had to do that just because someone wanted something, but
Somebody's friends were playing on a different one.
yeah, but it was just one of those things. But
I
either
think
way,
Xbox is sitting there like, we're Microsoft, so we win anyway. Like,
right.
we're Microsoft, we win.
Yeah,
Regardless of what
they're
Sony
like,
does,
you might
we
outsell
win.
our consoles, but let's show our PC sales, right? Our games are selling.
That's what it comes down to, is they just need more people to interconnect and give people a reason to go buy Xbox. And like your reason is, hey, I can play, cross over these games. Accessibility, you're right, is 100% it. If we're just comparing consoles, though, I just find it hard to like convince myself, oh, I'd want an Xbox over a PS5.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if I gun to my head, if you're making me buy a console for this next gen, I suppose I would go PlayStation 5.
Now, if you were taking away my PC and asked me which one I was going to buy, then I would have to say Xbox. The reason being is Halo, right? I want to play the new Halo.
Yeah.
So for people like you and me, if you're saying, hey, Anuj, you don't have your PC anymore, pick a console. Okay, I'm gonna go to Xbox because then I can play all my competitive shooters that I want to play, and you add Halo on top of that, and that kind of makes
like
that
the
a win.
one exclusive that matters is okay. That's
right?
it. I can watch people play Ratchet and Clank or Spider-Man. I'm okay. I think I'm also like the one person on the planet that just doesn't like Final Fantasy. So
yeah, but you also went out and bought the Spider-Man PS4, didn't you?
This is true. I do have the exclusive Spider-Man PS4
exclusive Spider-Man
just
PS4.
because it was Spider-Man. So
exactly. I mean, look, again, that's huge. Exclusives are huge in the console wars. That's what they talk about in their shows, right? From what exclusives do we have? And so PS5 wins that, and that makes me think they're going to outsell them again. But look, if you want to play Halo, you're going to buy an Xbox, and so if you don't have a PC, obviously,
yeah. So there's that. All right, let's get on to some other drama apart from just the console wars, which, let's be real, just buy a PC. You wanted to talk about this, I think, a couple days ago, so I'll let you kind of discuss it, but it's Twitch is out of control.
Yeah, we've just seen like so much drama within the Twitch scene and things that like have irritated me more than anything, and that's what we wanted to talk about. Is just some of the annoyances that we've seen recently and continuing trends, right? Twitch has always been this company that what they've created is amazing. How they've managed it, to me, is like straight trash, right? The people that they have in charge they let all of the good ones go. I feel when they did their layoffs and their merger with Amazon, we saw a lot of the talent that we loved at Twitch kind of sail out the door, and now it seems to be run by, I'm gonna hold my tongue there, but people that we just, you look at them and you're like, what the hell's going on here? Like, why are y'all making the decision? Why are you the way that you are? You know, like that's what you want to say to them. We obviously talked so much about the Doc ban, and I don't think we ever had a closing statement on that. You know, like it was carried on for about 3 weeks of, oh yeah, we'll talk about it when something happens, and then it like happened, and guess what? He's like more successful on YouTube than he is on Twitch. Like his audience on YouTube is insane. He's pushing 50 to 70K viewers pretty consistently on YouTube, which is amazing. But one thing that I want to talk about first, because I know we have a couple of bullet points here, so we'll just kind of run through them. The ability for Twitch streamers, or the inability, I should say, for Twitch streamers to be allowed to play with Doc really bothers me. We don't know why he was banned. It's never come out. It may never come out, right? There's obviously some huge NDA there. I do believe Doc knows. I know he says he doesn't know. I do believe him and his team know. I just believe they can't discuss it. You think he doesn't know?
Would you like to tell the class why you're banned on YouTube?
That's some bullshit. That's a good example, though. I got a freaking YouTube ban today. It didn't give me a reason. I don't post on my own account. And the only thing I've watched, I shit you not, for like the last handful of months, World of Warcraft Shadowlands stuff, Call of Duty Cold War, Joe Rogan podcast, and like throw in a couple of cooking shows from time to time that I'll like, it pops up on my recommended and I'll watch. There is nothing, people, that I have done to warrant a ban. Now, difference here, I'm not Dr. Disrespect. I don't have somebody on my speed dial that works at YouTube. I don't think Doc is sitting there filling out the help submission form to figure out why he was banned, right? Like, I do believe that he truly knows. And it bothers me that Twitch will potentially ban you if you want to go play with the guy. I honestly would love to see the Twitch community streamers grow some balls and just go do it and see what Twitch does. They're not going to ban Shroud. You think they're going to ban Shroud, their $30 million investment?
After he just got back?
Yeah, like, hey, we're going to ban you for doing it. You think they're going to ban, Nade Shot? They might ban Nade Shot, who knows? But, like, Nade Shot's kind of been under fire for other stuff with Activision and all that. But, like, I just don't see them doing that. And these guys don't want to take the chance, which I understand. Their livelihood for a lot of them is tied, to the money that's coming in from Twitch. But that just bothers me. Like, unless Doc has done something vile, like Slasher made it seem like, okay, I kind of understand wanting to distance yourself more. But if this is some contractual bullshit that it's most likely is, this is like them kind of they're out of their league in doing this. This is not something that they should have the ability to control, to like prevent a guy's voice from coming over somebody else's comms because they're wanting to play together. Like, that's a shitty situation for Doc. I've seen Doc talk about it on his stream, Tim. And like, I don't want to say I feel bad for Doc, because Doc's very successful and he's doing great in life and he's overcome some hardships that he's done to himself, and brought himself back. But like, I do feel for him. Like, that is a crappy thing to not be able to play with your friends and find a new community to play with. If you told me I couldn't play with Tim, Ronnie, Kamar, Corey, I have to go find a new group because, hey, all of y'all are Twitch and I'm YouTube. Like, that would really hurt. Like, that would genuinely suck. And so from that retrospect, like, I just feel bad for him. I just feel like bad in that instance.
I'm always kind of interested to see when Twitch decides to flex their muscles and like push people around, because it's so selective. There is no pattern or rhyme or reason on why they do it. Unless you're a chick, then okay, they're not going to do anything, which we've come to terms with. I don't really understand how, though. It's like you have the up top, right? They're making the business decisions. And then it's almost like they just tell the admins to just do your thing. Just, you guys figure it out. You are your own manager, so you figure it out. Because it doesn't, like I said, there's no consistency. We see people getting banned for the littlest of things. You know, guys get banned for if they're wearing a tank top and a nip slips. Girls will straight up, like, show everything and get nothing. That chick who threw her cat and put vodka down the throat, nothing, right? I know we're supposed to be nice to her now, though, from everyone on Twitter saying we need to be nice to people. There's that, right? They get nothing done. And yet you have Doc, who is just getting such a hard ban to where you can't even mention his name on a Twitch stream without you getting in trouble for it. And look, all this could make sense, Anuj. All this could make sense with just a little bit of transparency.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, I don't want to say it's dumb that you don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to be like, hey, you need to allow them to play with Doc. Because ultimately we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But on Twitch's side, well, if you don't want people lining up at your front door with torches and pitchforks, you got to let them know. You have to say, look, this is why this is it. This is why we're doing it. And then maybe some people will still be upset, but I think you'll get the majority of the people being like, I get it, you know? Kind of like the Blast thing, right? If Blast just came out and said, hey, we're going to increase the money we're paying to the orgs and lower the prize pool to the players. Thanks. See you later. People would be like, and we would even be like, well, you can't just do that mid-tournament. But if they're saying, look, it's because COVID, we're not making enough money, we need to do this to survive, it's like, all right, I get it. Shave a little off the top for the players and give it to the people who need it in the sense of foundation, right? Make sure your foundation is intact before you worry about what's inside the house, you know?
Yeah.
So I get that. But I also will say this. I find it very hard for me. Very hard. And this is why I constantly have to, like, mute and unmute Dexerto, however you want to say it. I really don't care about streamer drama. I don't. And maybe it's just the 30-year-old dad in me talking. But it's like, I hear some of these streamers, and they have such first world problems. It's not even funny. Pokimane comes back from her leave, and everyone's just like, Pokimane is going to talk about her struggles with streaming burnout and how she was able to survive. She was able to survive. She had to take a leave, but folks, she's okay. She's back with us. So brave. So brave. And
all the Sims came out with their subs at that point.
I'm like, yeah, and then she comes back and has a record day because she took a month off of work to come back and makes more money than she would have if she just streamed regularly for a month, right? We always see streamers do this, where they'll go away for Doc can get banned.
Doc had done it twice.
Yeah, Doc has gone away for months. Ninja, months. Nothing. Comes back, makes more money day one in the first hour than he would that entire time. And it's just like, you know who has burnout in life? Do you know who actually struggles day to day? Literally everyone. Like 99% of the population struggles with their day-to-day job, and we can't afford to take a month off to go to, you know, at some beach house for a month or some shit like that. Now, I'm sure some of them have things going on that warrant it. I get it. I'm not saying you have a cush life. I'm sure the grass is always greener on the other side. But I'm also saying, like, please don't give me this sad hero story about how these streamers are just, we don't understand what they go through. I understand that you play games for 9 hours a day, racking in 15,000 a day. So
you're doing okay.
Yeah, you're okay.
Like, you probably fix some of these problems pretty quick for the 1%, right? For the 1% of streamers, obviously that's, you know, the drama and all that kind of comes with the territory. It probably is part of the.
Listen, I would gladly get yelled at for using some anime VR character on this show and make a quarter of what these guys are making. I'll gladly take that.
Give me 5%.
If that's the biggest problem I have to deal with streaming is people yelling at me because I'm using some anime avatar, I think I'm okay.
Like that community got upset with her. That was pretty funny.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like what a bunch of...
I agree. Like you're right in both retrospects. Like the transparency from Twitch is terrible. They just don't communicate at all. You kind of wonder how they are as big as they are when they're ran the way that they are. Instead of focusing on giving us cool features and giving us the ability to rewind or pause and do some of these things, like instead of adding co-streaming for the masses, instead of just the 1% and releasing some of these features for everyone to use, they add things like mid-ad rolls in the middle of the week, right before the PlayStation launch event.
It was just a test. Don't worry.
Just a test that they pulled back for now, and they're gonna figure out how to better.
We're gonna figure out how we can do this and not piss everyone off.
Bro, they did it a day before the PS5 event reveal. Have you seen some of the videos of this now? Like some of the clips that have come out?
No, but I can only imagine.
Streamers were in the middle, and one of them was so funny. It was in the middle of the Harry Potter reveal, and just as they're putting the hat on, one of the characters, whoever it was, I know it's not the Harry Potter cast, but like one of the characters,
the students.
They're putting the hat on, and it goes to like some crap movie trailer that nobody's gonna go watch anyway.
Some Amazon Prime exclusive movie.
It's what it was, pretty much. It was an Amazon Prime movie.
I've often had this rant on Twitch ads where it's like, I understand you need to make your money. I get that, Twitch. I get it. But holy shit, somehow 1,000 TV channels have figured out how to run ads and not disrupt normal programming. I'm sure you can figure out how to do it with live programming. I'm sure you can get with the streamers and say, hey, every hour on the hour, we're running ads. Doesn't matter. At the top of every hour, we're going to run a set of ads. And then that way the streamers know, all right, we're 5 till, I'm going to take a break, or at least we know, right? You don't do it.
That probably would not work either, though, to be honest with you.
No,
because there's too many games out there that, like, what I like the idea of like involving the streamers to get their input, right?
That's
and maybe a better
point.
solution is, hey, every hour you need to run an ad at some point during that hour, right? If you want to run one at the 59-minute mark and then the 101, to get it like back to back, you can do that, but you need to run an ad every hour and allow them to tailor their gameplay.
So
then around, like doing it on the hour, at the hour, like it's too hard because too many games require you to
actually relate to this, because you have done a live radio show and you've seen me behind the scenes set up our show when we do it live on radio, and we have commercials and we have times that you have to hit, you have to get off. So don't tell me like, well, they can't do that. They're playing games. They can't do it.
Depending on the game that you're playing, it doesn't allow. If somebody's doing a speed run, what do you do in that scenario?
Right. Again, and that's where you say though, like, hey, you have this is like from radio, but it's like, hey, you have 15 minutes worth of ads. You got to get done in this hour, right? And you have very little in radio, depending on the station. But yes, I do. Look, we're not going to come up with the solution in this 5-minute talk. There's a way to do it, and that's
the important thing.
There's
a way to do it.
It's not what they're doing now. They're on TV, in sports and things like that, or like in YouTube. The reason they can do the pre and post ad roll is because it's not live programming, right? You can do the mid ad roll that pauses your video and it makes you want to punch your screen when you're in the middle of it, but at least you're not missing the video. Wait 5 seconds, skip the ad, and boom. With Twitch, I can't tell you how many times I'm like sitting here watching someone play a BR game. Summits was playing DayZ or whatever. You watch him for 3 hours, nothing happens. Doc actually did this on purpose every time, where as soon as he would get into engagement, he'd run an ad roll. So unless you were a subscriber, you watched ads instead of him fight. And then the ads would be gone, and then he would either win or lose, and you're like, Are you shitting me right now? I just watched you for an hour and you're going to run an ad on me?
Just watched you loot all this
Like,
for 45
it's
minutes just for you to run this
there's a
ad.
way for them to work and be integrated into the system and make everyone happy in the sense of as happy as you can be with advertising. Randomly doing it mid-roll or midway through streams, not the way to do it. And they're trying to act
unannounced
like
and like just hitting play.
they're trying to act like this problem has never been a thing before. And it's like, no, you could do it. Like, I think with esports, I've always said this, like during Counter-Strike halftimes or after certain rounds, you have TV timeouts, right? It's not an official timeout. It's going to be, hey, we're running a 30-second or a 1-minute ad, and then we're going to get right back to the game, right? Something like that. Like, there's ways to do it where you can have ads in the middle so you're not cutting down on, you're not have BS time in between and everyone's fine.
Kind of just waiting for more people to make the switch to YouTube, honestly. Like, I enjoy watching stuff on YouTube more. Like,
Yeah.
I just honestly do. And, it's
I'm-
funny because, like, now you see the numbers, Tim, and they're crazy. Like, Ray
Insane.
from 100 Thieves, Courage from 100 Thieves, Doc. Like, these guys pull in monster numbers. PewDiePie, obviously, as well. Like, when they're streaming, the top-end streamers on YouTube seem to have more viewership, way more viewership than the top end streamers on Twitch. Maybe there's more selection, whatever it may be, but we know people are willing to go to YouTube to watch their content. It's massive. It's been around forever. Everyone probably has it on their bookmark bar at this point, right? Yeah. And so I would like for YouTube to continue to put the pressure on Twitch, just because Twitch to me runs itself like a freaking 10-year-old company.
And I think the more people that go to YouTube, the more YouTube will care about improving their issues, right? As far as like UI and user friendliness. But yeah. I agree. I'm waiting for like one of these orgs to say, hey, as an org, we're switching, Yeah. Like, I mean, point in case with Nadeshot, how many times can Twitch slap his hand before he's like, do you guys know who I am? I like own an org. I could tell all my guys to move over to YouTube and they'll do it. Like everybody under 100 Thieves goes to YouTube and we're going to stream on YouTube. Like they
look, it's worked for the ones that they've done it for. We questioned it at first, but Courage is bigger than ever. He's pumping out more numbers than he had on Twitch.
I'm glad he was able to find his passion again. Funny how that works.
It's huge. That Valkyrie.
Funny how when he first switches over to YouTube, he's I don't have the passion anymore. And then all of a sudden he starts getting 40,000 viewers again. And he's like, man, I'm so passionate.
I love it. I got my new Lambo. Have you seen his new Lamborghini?
No, I'm not surprised.
He got the Lamborghini SUV. It's pretty crazy.
I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. All right. Well, there's some Twitch drama for you. Who knows where that goes? Who knows? But thoughts and prayers to all the streamers out there struggling to find your way in this stressful time of being a full-time professional streamer. I don't know
during a pandemic.
Yeah, during a pandemic. I don't know how you do it. Don't know how you do it. Thoughts and prayers for Pokimane. All right, quick AMA before we go. So a little thing about the AMAs. So on Discord, someone asked us a question of what we thought, and then like coincidentally, like a day later, someone messaged us on Twitter, Connor, longtime listener, and said, hey, you guys should do AMAs. And we were like, hey, that's funny because we were just talking about that. So I think what we're going to try doing, and today doesn't really fit that mold, but maybe like a once a month AMA. If we get a ton of questions, maybe we can break it down to twice a month. But maybe like the last Wednesday, so the last Thursday show of every month, we'll do an AMA. So maybe I'll do a channel in Discord. You can DM us it. We'll create a Google Doc and keep track of the questions and everything so you won't have to worry about it. Ask us on Twitter even, just let us know and we'll put them in the AMAs. And we'll get to that the last Thursday show of every month. And if we get a ton, like I said, we can always split it up or figure it out from there. I've wanted to do them for a long time. I love interacting with our listeners. So I think this is a good way. And it could be about
Usually
anything.
We're just like answering them in Discord, so this is kind of a cool way to
normally we're answering them on Twitter and Discord or DMs or even just bringing it up as talking points on the show. But this will be a way to give you guys shout outs and things like that. So we can start there. It can be about anything, whether it be esports, fantasy football. Joey, you were asking in Discord about that. Whatever. Politics.
Avoid politics for the sake of
it. I mean, we're very open people, though. We're adults. We can.
Yeah. We'll tell you how we feel, but
Yeah.
may not want to hear it all the time.
No. So there's that and everything.
So this is like a preview teaser that we're doing because we do have a couple of them. So, this is more of a preview, and then like we said, for sure, if y'all have any, throw them out. We'll save them up throughout the month. We'll still answer some of them as they come, depending on what we're talking about. But we'll save some of what we think are the fun ones for the show to talk about.
Yep. So first one here. We'll go in order if we got him. Captive on Discord asks. He's also one of the League of Legends boys, by the way. People are saying League of Legends isn't just the future of esports, but the future of sports. What are your guys' thoughts? Thank you for the question there, Captive. He's also the one who linked me to videos on YouTube of like getting ready for Worlds for Dummies, pretty much. So,
oh, nice of him.
I'll watch him. I'll watch him between now and then just to make it seem like I'll watch him before we have Kevin on, so I sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there you go.
So some people think LOL, League of Legends, is the future of not only esports but sports. This comes up, I think, once every year. I feel like once it's Worlds time, this topic comes up that League of Legends is going to be bigger than football, whether that's American football or soccer or something like that. And I think soccer is a perfect example. Basketball is a good example to compare it to. When League of Legends is a worldwide sport or esport, so is soccer. So here's my thought on this. I always take it with a grain of salt. I always see who is saying it, first of all. Like, is it Jacob Wolf or someone who has vested interest in League of Legends being the next big sport? And then I always kind of roll my eyes, do a little sigh, and say, okay, sure. I guess I'll believe it when I see it. Because here's my thing, is the reason soccer and traditional sports are so popular around the world. First off, what do people always say about soccer? All you need is a ball. You can go out into a field, make some makeshift, posts for nets, and boom, you have it. You can play it in dirt. You can do it whatever. Same thing with basketball. Very little requirement. I understand gaming is becoming more and more accessible, but there are certain parts of the world where it just never will be. So to say it's going to be the next sport, I mean, maybe like 40 years from now, like when we train our kids to like it just as much as we have, maybe it can be like primetime sports, but I still just think for the general population, nothing will dethrone the appeal of physical activity in a normal sport.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a no. Like, no, it won't. If it's not dethroning like any of the major sports, I guess you could say, if that's what we're talking about by the future of sports, League of Legends is way too complicated to be the game that does it, right? It's not like an easy watch for, like, you can watch soccer, you know what's going on. You might not understand offsides or something, but the premise is like super easy. These guys are offense, these guys are defense. I don't need to know, do these guys have special cleats versus these guys special cleats, or those guys have different shorts than those guys. Like, that stuff doesn't matter, right? It's
Which
just
one's the jungler?
take the ball, get it in the net. Same thing with the sport like basketball, like very easy to watch. I think League of Legends is already the biggest esport, and I think it'll hold that throne for a while.
Yeah.
But it's not going to dethrone any of the major sports, like in a worldwide type setting, right? There may be areas where League of Legends is more popular than, one of the national sports over there. But as a whole, I really just don't think so. At least I don't think that's the game that will do it. You're right. Maybe 10 years from now. I don't think it'll be 40 years. I really don't. But
I still feel like people undersell like the value of like I don't know, what am I trying to say here, Nooch? The physicalness that like in real sports, in traditional sports, that is a human being doing that with their body. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah, like it's just impressive to see like a gymnast go do a quadruple backflip. Like even if you don't like gymnastics, you appreciate what that individual is accomplishing, right? Like in that moment, right? When you watch the Olympics, for example, there are so many sports in the Olympics that we don't give two shits about year round. But come Olympics time, I'm watching ice skating to freaking, I mean, what is that? Shuffle. I can't even think of the word where they're throwing the thing on the ice, just, using the broom. What the hell is that sport called?
you screwed it up with shuffle. Because now I'm thinking shuffleboard, but it's not. Hold on.
Somebody in chat.
Ice
What sport am I
sport
thinking of here?
with the broom. Curling.
Curling.
Jesus
That's such an easy one.
Christ.
I knew that.
That
But
was
what
your
I'm saying
fault.
is, like,
You said shuffle
people
and it screwed it up.
appreciate the physical nature of sports. Doesn't mean physical as in like going head to head, running into each other like football every time, but like just the physical aspect of it. There's a different appeal. Gaming is still tailored towards a very specific audience. There's a whole other couple of generations that have no interest in it. So I just don't see that.
Now,
being
maybe
the
again,
case for a league
40, 50 years from now might be completely different because you'll have 2 or 3 generations. Like, really, there are people older than Anuj and I that are very into esports. But really, I think like this generation is kind of the first to really be like
very few though.
Yeah.
How many, like, we don't know that many people that
again, just
watch
go to an esports event and look at the crowd and say, is this the crowd that is going to dethrone soccer as the world's #1 source of entertainment in sports? And there's your answer. That's the answer. So not right now, but maybe. Be optimistic.
very few people older than us enjoy esports. They might like gaming, but they don't know shit about esports, right? Like that's a whole different ball game. So no, good question though. Like for sure. Like I think at some point we will see it. It's just not right now. Probably not with that game. And then in Twitter, I had a couple of questions here. So these are from Connor. He had a couple of them. I'm just going to pick like 2 of them that I want to read out here. So do you guys think the Asian scene, Connor, you spelled scene wrong, just so you know. Do you guys think the Asian scene will be competitive in Valorant given Riot's presence there and that it's free to play?
Yes, I do.
100%.
I mean, look, we make fun of Asians in Counter-Strike, but that's just because they're not there. Look at Overwatch, right? They dominate Overwatch. So it's not like, I think I might get in trouble for saying this, but who's going to fire me? It's our show. There is a stigma when it comes to Asians and FPS that they're just not good at it. And I will say again, that's mainly because we just don't see them playing it very often because the FPSs that we play here, they don't, or they're not in like the same servers and things like that, right? But Valorant, I think, is going to open up a lot of eyes to a lot of people and being like all these like MOBA people who just know that Asians kind of dominate esports. I think a lot of the Counter-Strike crowd is going to look at like a Chinese or a Korean team and being like, okay, this will be an easy win. And I think it's going to shock a lot of people to see that, no, they play completely different.
They will 100% be competitive in Valorant. 100%. They might not be the best, but they're going to be very competitive in Valorant. The fact that the Japanese scene, the one scene that is notorious for not being involved in esports outside of FGC, they're showing heavy interest in Valorant. Wait till Riot gets involved. That's what I kind of have to say for that answer, because it may not be huge day one, although it's pretty big. There's already Asian tournaments going on, and like there's several active teams, and we've seen, really good competitive Valorant in the Asian scene. It's only going to get bigger. Cloud9 has a Korean Valorant team. Like, that's huge. They're not doing that because they want to be the first to do something. They're doing that to get ahead of the game because they know if they can secure the top talent, that region will be involved in Valorant Worlds or whatever it ends up being, the TI for Valorant, right? Like Asian scenes will be involved in those events. And so, yes, I do think they'll be competitive. I don't know if they'll be the best, but yes, they'll be competitive for sure. Anything you want to add to that?
No, like I said, I completely agree.
He has two more. I'm just going to throw one of them out there. So again, this is from Connor. Have you guys looked at Rogue Company at all? It is going to have the OG Halo ranking system. Scott Lucier, aka Gandhi, is leading the esports portion of it. And Hi-Rez has been known to provide solid stipends to teams in Smite. Does it have potential to be the biggest third-person esport?
Multi-part questions. I'll give multi-part answers. First part: Have we looked at Rogue Company? Yes, we've looked at it. I think saying that Hi-Rez gives good stipends for teams is a nice way of saying they pay teams to play for their league to generate hype. I don't see it going anywhere.
But that's worked, right? Because it's kept those games relevant. Like paying the stipends, it's a two-way street. You're doing it because your game sucks for the most part, or lackluster from an esports scene. I shouldn't say sucks, but it's lackluster from a competitive esports scene. So you do it to keep big orgs involved. But it's done that, like Hi-Rez did. Hi-Rez is Paladins also, aren't they? They might not be Paladins, but Smite has managed to stay around.
I think you're right, though.
I think Hi-Rez is Paladins also, if I'm not mistaken. Ginger is saying yes, and Ginger's never wrong. So
no, definitely
we'll go with that.
All right.
But yeah, I actually do think like it has the potential to be a big third-person esport in the sense there's just not many of them, guys. We have I don't even know how PUBG is played anymore, if they use first person or third person. I'm assuming third, so like that might be semi tough to get ahead, but there's not a lot of competition. Like his question, the second part of the question is focused on the third person aspect of it. There's not a lot of competition out there. I've watched a lot of gameplay. I have not played
there's been about half a dozen times where Nuge and I get on to play Rogue Company, and then we're like, yeah, let's just go play some Valorant. Let's go play Counter-Strike.
It's happened like literally 10 times, which is not a joke. But I have watched a decent amount of gameplay. They do a good job with updates. They're very transparent. They're the opposite of Twitch in a lot of ways. I do think it has a chance to be a successful third-person esport. Maybe not the biggest, but there's not that many big ones. So if they were like, I'm still going to grade them across the esports scene. I don't grade games by like, oh, this is, well, we kind of do. Like, this is the best FPS, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it'll fall into the shooter world, and that's what I would grade it against. Other games that are, of the shooting variety, I guess you could say.
Tough scene to crack when you're like a new style-ish type of game. It's not going to be easy for them. They're going to live and die by the hype they get on Twitch. And now it's good because like they've kind of sided with Doc, right? They're building the arena, which I don't know how that's going to fly on Twitch when people are playing Rogue Company and they're playing in Dr. Disrespect's arena.
You have to take the ban for that game, and disconnect.
Like they have his face all over the map. Have you seen the sneak peeks of it?
What if they did that on purpose just to get back at Twitch?
Like his face and logo are all over the map. So
that's kind of cool.
I don't know how that's going to work out with Twitch, but maybe they just straight up don't have the game on Twitch. I don't know. But, Anuj, let's play it. Let's play it this weekend. Just one game.
This weekend will not happen.
Oh, well, then.
This weekend will not happen, Tim. It's COD Alpha weekend.
Oh, that's right. Well, see, we tried. We tried to play it again.
We gave it another effort. That was chance number 11. Tune in for next week's episode to see if we gave it a shot on Monday.
We've been in it since like Alpha too.
We had it for a long. I had it installed for a long. I still have it installed.
I know
for a long time.
Have not touched it. It is the weird. We play everything. We have had that for months. Haven't touched it. Don't know why. Just things get in the way, I guess. So there's that. So there's the AMAs again. I'm gonna thinking last Thursday show of every month here, and doing a monthly thing if we get a lot of questions. But there's that. Maybe we'll create a fun name for it. AMAs are kind of generic. I like witty names for our segments.
Is AMA taken? I thought we were original.
Yeah, you think Ask Me Anything? Yeah, that was us. That was us. So there's that. So shoot us up again in DMs, Twitter, Discord, whatever. Just hit it up.
Not in real life.
Just not in real life. If you do, go to Anuja's house and ask him. So there's that. I have a quick show announcement, Anuj. But this is actually going to be my last episode.
Are you having another kid?
No, just one more. But this is going to be my last show of the Center Ring. Sorry to give you such short notice. About as much notice as Brett gave me, though, so I guess all is fair. I really feel, though, at this point in my life, I'm 30, about to have 2 kids. I can't keep up with the podcast and do everything and be a pro gamer. And I say that because I truly feel like this is our last chance to be a pro. So I think we just quit the Center Ring and become pro Spellbreak players.
That took a twist. I expected you to quit the show at some point. That wasn't the surprising part. I know this is taking a toll on you.
But you're my Spellbreak partner.
With your new camera, I can see it like in your face now. I couldn't see it before, but I see it today.
You are my Spellbreak partner. I need you with me.
I'm willing to give competitive Spellbreak a chance. I'm really liking the game. I am actually enjoying it. It's fun. I've played a ton of solos on it now too, and I feel like I'm starting to get the hang of it. It's a fun game. It's a good time pass. The fact that it's free makes it that much more fun for me. If I had to pay for it, I don't know if I would have ever gotten into it, to be honest with you. But free to play,
it's fun.
Hey, it's fun.
People keep trying to knock it, being like, well, it's fun. I don't know what you want from me.
Tim's enjoying a BR. It's a BR. Yeah. Call it what you will, Tim. It's a BR, buddy.
Listen, you let me fly around like a wizard, shooting lightning on my hands, and you got my attention. You got my attention. Look, it's only a matter of time. We might as well quit the show because as soon as that Harry Potter game comes out, we're just going to become an official Harry Potter podcast anyways.
I wish you could co-op Harry Potter. We both go into a world.
I think that's very early on. I don't even think there's a release date on it. So maybe you can at one point.
2021.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah,
Let me see here.
It's a while. We will be playing that. I'm actually really excited for that game. Genuinely excited for that game.
Multiplayer has not been announced, has not confirmed. Let me see if co-op though.
There's got to be Quidditch esports, dude. How is there not going to be Quidditch esports?
Let's see. News, co-op, casual. I don't think there's no announcement yet.
Yeah.
No announcement yet. But 2 wizards can dream, Anuj. 2 wizards can dream.
What if we're not in the same house?
Well, I'm Slytherin.
Oh, then no, we're not going to be in the same house.
Well, looks like you're in the wrong one.
No.
Fun fact. So Joey asks in chat, we got to have another esports awards before we quit the show. In real talk, of course we're going to do a Center Ring esports award show at the end of the year. We're only about 2 months out from it, to be honest with you, or 3 months out. So we got to get things in order. If you have ideas as far as categories and nominees, feel free to always let us know. You know how that goes. It's a pretty...
No generic crap. Give us we're looking for fun stuff. We have the generic stuff down, okay? So give us something out of the box and it might get used.
Yeah. For example, one category that we have this year is best person to get away with something that he probably should have gotten in more trouble for. So, and surprisingly doing pretty well. Nominees, you have still FaZe Banks, admitted that, and they in fact did use gambling money. Josh OG, who was part of the gambling scams, surprisingly on bounty commercials. Those are the 2 nominees so far.
There's more. We'll give you more. Don't worry.
There's definitely more. But that's the type of thing we're looking for. Funny, out of the box categories and nominees. We got the generic stuff, all right? We'll leave that to boring esports shows that do that. So there's that for you. Let's get in to some e-news, though, and wrap this show up. Where are we at here? For CSGO. NIP put, I don't know how to say it, knock?
Yeah, knock.
Knock? I guess I've never seen it like
Knock.
spelled out. On medical leave, of all things. So he will be taking a back seat for a little bit. Dignitas have decided that they just weren't living up to the public expectations and benched Get Right and Exist. I say, you know what? In their defense, my expectations were pretty much met. Like, I don't know what public are they talking about?
I'm just surprised that it was like only them two. A little bit, right? Like, there's more. I'm glad that team gave it a last shot together, right? You never want to retire too early. Not to say that these guys will necessarily 100% retire, but it was cool. Like, it was cool to see them come back together and, you know, brought back some feels, but that was really about it.
At what point do they just decide to join an NA team? Much like how European soccer players will join an MLS when that's how you know your career's done when you sign with an MLS team. At what point do they just come over here, play NA?
When's Get Right signing the Cloud9 contract?
Well, that would be nice. Swole Patrol officially disbanded their CSGO roster, which again just further reinstates the information that we have that they will be signing Cooper to Cloud9. So they're doing what, like every other week an announcement? So eventually he will be announced.
Every other week?
Was that it? Or is it every week?
I know. I think it's this Saturday they're going to be doing.
So it's every once a week they're doing it, but still that's going to be like 6 weeks. They're having a 6-man roster. It's going to be a month and a half for them just to announce their roster. So either way, so that's kind of reinforcing that rumor that we hear that Cooper will be joining Cloud9. G2 is officially eliminated from the ASL Pro League playoffs after losing 4 straight.
That's tough. It's tough for a top 5 ranked team to be eliminated that early in competition.
G2 wouldn't do it any other way.
Yeah.
That's such a G2 thing to do. And following up with the coach bug fiasco that was a couple episodes ago, the ECIC, or ESIC, it's difficult to say, end their investigations, waiting on findings, so obviously we don't know the details yet. But Anuj, the more daunting news out of this is that they have found games where people abused this coach bug that, again, allowed you to pretty much spectate a certain part of the map in-game. Dates all the way back to 2015.
Like almost when the game launched.
5 years ago.
You know, this is just going to be so bad. There's going to be so many names that, unfortunately for these poor coaches, they're the ones that are going to get thrown under the bus. But this is a player issue.
I don't know what you're talking about, poor coaches. Players had no idea.
No idea. That's why
players
these coaches
had
their jobs.
No, this has been going on for 5 years. They've never once looked at the coach's screen when he's coaching. Ever. They had no idea for 5 years.
It just makes you question a lot about the online world that we've been playing. And unfortunately, it almost looks like all these people that said online is shit, like either they knew or they were just making a damn good guess that something was going on here. And look, it turns out there was something going on. So
that's crazy.
I'm pretty excited to see.
We'll talk about it.
How deep this goes.
I was gonna say, when more details come out, we will talk about it, because my opinion on the manor it's all over the place. All over the place. Like, I care, I don't care. Like, I want to see these guys out of the system, but then I'm like, well, if everyone did it, like, and Valve knew about it, my emotions are all over the charts. So we'll talk about it, though, when obviously the names come out. Because I know, like, some people are like, it doesn't matter who's on the list. These bastards need to go. And I'm like, chill out, all right? If everyone was doing it, what about competitive integrity? Whatever. That's sports. And Valorant did a little bit of a patch over the week. Big things out of here is that the Guardian has gotten buffed, slightly faster fire rate.
Pretty important for that gun. That makes a big difference with that one. Like you could see that used in more eco situations now. They reduced the price a little bit as well.
I think by like 100. So
yeah,
we'll see if it gets used anymore. I just feel like like you said, the eco thing is the only difference, right? That's going to be the bigger thing. Because on a pro level, it's like, well, if I have the money, I'm just going to buy a Valorant or not a Valorant, Vandal instead.
Yeah.
Bigger news, especially for me, or maybe even for a Nuge, so I don't blow them up anymore. Ray's blast packs, or the backpacks, whatever you call them, no longer do team damage.
And they reduce the damage it does to the opposing team as well. I think that's honestly a really good move. The blast pack needs to be used for mobility.
Well, I think it was the drop off. So it's like the core damage is the same, but it's the drop off damage that they changed.
Yeah, and then I think it's like in the first 3 seconds, if it detonates, it's like different. They reduce the value. It's going to do less damage overall to the opposing teams. And I think that's fine because your toolkit is all damage abilities, right? You still have your nade that recharges with kills, still have your bot that you throw out there. You still have the ultimate, that's a bazooka. So that's probably a good change. Yeah,
so there's that. And again, Raise players everywhere and pugs rejoice because your team will no longer hate you for taking away half their health as you try to blast past a main on split.
This was a patch that they should have said, this is great for everyone like gold and below. Because now everyone in those games can be a little bit more confident playing with arrays. Yep. So, that's a good thing.
Yeah, Joey says Tavik. Yeah, Tavik is one of those. And in Anbox signs, or in Anbox news, Anbox, for those who don't know, because even if you're into esports, the name might not sound familiar. They are the parent company behind the New York teams in Overwatch League and CDL. So, like, they are big in esports. They're a group of investors. Well, now they have signed a Valorant team, which I assume will be under their name Anbox, which will be the first that you see them on a professional side. Before they kind of just started out as like content kind of clothes, more or less. Being like, again, they're just kind of were the sugar daddy to the other teams, but now you're going to see them. So they did sign a Valorant roster recently. I think they're still waiting to announce one more, but the big names on there, Ye, formerly of Complexity, and Android, formerly of Envy. So get some CS boys in there. Maybe we can get some of them on the show, if need be.
A couple good signings there, though. Those are some good pickups.
Yeah, and like I said, I know Android. I follow him on Twitter just from his Envy days. And I mean, he's just been every day. He's just on there grinding, like saying like, "Oh, just 4 hours just shooting arrows," like as Sova and things like that. I'm like, more power to you, bud.
This is why y'all are pros.
Yeah,
man.
This is why you're pros and I'm not, because I get in and people are like, Sova, do you know this dart? Nope, but I'm gonna shoot it over here and see where it lands.
It's bound to go somewhere in that area.
Like I'll get it right next round. Don't worry. In COD news, Rocker announced, the Minnesota Rocker that is, assigned their roster or announced their roster. Pretty stacked.
It is. It's a very slow team though. Like it's a good name, like names that are on this team: Attach, Priesta, Major Maniac, Accuracy. This is a team that is like, it's a bunch of slow players.
My one concern, and it might not be fair, but is Maniac, just because his performance in the finals did not impress me.
No, because he was good the year before too.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's I am judging him of what have you done for me lately type of attitude, and it's not fair because it's going to be a completely different game, 4-on-4, and I mean, it's like just take last year and throw it out, right? Pretty much. But
I think all these guys deserve a spot on a roster. I think the combination of players in this case is like, again, they could change their play style completely and realize that they're a slow team and maybe they just pick it up and start going like super fast. But Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a pacing issue here. We'll see what they end up doing with it. But there are a lot of the three. We're gonna have some very top heavy teams in
Yeah.
the league this year. Let's
Yep.
put it that way.
And real quick, we'll run through these here. COD Alpha starts tomorrow. So if you have a PlayStation, you can download the Alpha. You don't need, as Anuj tells me, PlayStation Plus to play it. So we will actually be on there. So hit us up if you want our PlayStation names. It has been a very long, I'm talking probably Call of Duty World War II was the last time I played an FPS with a controller. So you can play with us.
Just know what you're getting into.
Pretty. It will not be pretty. In FPS news, we'll save this for an actual talking point at one point in time. But Summit kicked up the dust a little bit with Halo, because obviously, and we've actually always given him credit. He's a very big Halo fan in the streaming world. Said over the week that Halo 5 was his favorite, is the best Halo out there, and anyone saying otherwise is just stuck in nostalgia.
He's talking about from a competitive standpoint.
From a competitive standpoint, of course. Yeah, I mean, story-wise and all that, that's whatever. That's it. I wanted to say it because we're going to bring this up in the future, and I want to say this is a talking point of it.
I really like this as a talking point.
Yeah.
Like, I think this would be a fun
And I
conversation
think it goes to a lot of games other than just Halo, right?
Yeah.
Just the whole, hey, just because something was good in memory, it's like, and Halo's the perfect one because I always say, no, Nuge, you got to wait till Halo 3. And then, you play it and you're like, this is slow as shit. This feels like I have cement in my shoes. So, definitely talk about that later. In League of Legends news, Bose has become the official headset partner of League of Legends Esport Global events. Bose now does have a gaming headset. It's like $350. But you know what? It's expensive if you have the money. I will say Bose are always worth it, though. I'm never disappointed in Bose. So, can't really
the quiet
enjoy.
comforts. I have the travel ones.
Yeah, so do I. And it's the same thing,
incredible.
but with a gaming headset in mind. So, as parents,
It's wired though.
well, yeah, but that's, it is what it is. As parents, we can't use soundproof gaming headsets anyways.
Oh no, I'm playing 1 year off most of the time nowadays.
Our days of true noise canceled headphones are left for airplanes, and that's even short-lived. Oh, you gotta hear. If I don't hear my kid, I assume that he's dead. So no sound canceling for us. Also in League of Legends news, Astralis, that's right, Astralis has decided to rebrand their teams under the Astralis Group name. So that was Origins for LEC, and
It's one other game.
it was FIFA, but I'm forgetting what their name. Maybe I'm even getting it mixed up. But they went by different names for FIFA and League of Legends. They're going to rebrand everything to be under Astralis. This makes perfect sense.
Smart move.
Yeah, I don't really understand why that was.
They didn't do it to start with.
Yeah, seems a little odd, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted to market Astralis as only Counter-Strike. I don't know. But this makes sense. And in other news, Unicorn is to pay $6.1 million in the SEC settlement over an unregistered ICO Unicoin. So for those who don't know, Unicorn is a very popular betting website for esports. They created their own, an ICO is Bitcoin, digital money, right? Things like that. And so they created their own digital money. Well, in doing so, you have to register that to be official value. They never registered it. And the
Seems
SEC,
like a big slip up.
yeah, so the SEC was like, hold up, what are you doing there? And fined them $6.1 million. So there's that.
Sucks to suck.
Stay hard to that website. So I think they sponsor.
They're on some jersey.
I was gonna say they're on a jersey. I forget which one. They're very. Watch any tournament in Europe.
Probably FaZe.
I want to say Nip or something. I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter because they have to pay a lot of money. So there's that. There it is. Episode 272 of The Centering, presented by Alt. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed it, thank you. Be sure to leave us a review, 5 stars. Tell us your thoughts on iTunes or anything else that you listen to. We love to read them. Again, AMAs will be last Thursday shows of every month. So if we get enough by 2 weeks, 2 weeks, we'll do another one for September. So hit us up in any way you want. Doesn't matter. At the Centering on Twitter, in our Discord. Doesn't make a difference. We'll write them down. We will be back Sunday night to do our Monday episode. We are back on regular scheduled programming. I promise you, nothing will stop us because I think both the Lions and Cowboys play early, so we don't have to worry about it. And we'll talk some stuff. Who knows what will happen between now and then, but we'll promise we'll talk about it. That will do it for Anuj. I'm Tim. We'll see ya.